Steve, obviously, now starting that second half of spring ball, how's your group looking, and what do you want to see the last 2 weeks?
We're trying to create depth, obviously, to be a lot better than we were last year. And I see that it's progressing slowly, obviously, because there's so many young guys out there, but it's a lot of fun. I think just the fact that they're working so hard at trying to do all those things that we're always talking about, the little things. And this group has been really fun to work with, to be honest with you. It's been one of the most fun springs I've had as far as a group of guys to work. And we have a long ways to go, but the guys have really tried to do everything that we've asked them to do.
Has it been a little less stressful? Because David was kind of saying that, last fall maybe you got a little bit stressed out, obviously, with some of the things you had to deal with. It's a little more fun this spring?
Yeah, they told me I mellowed out a little bit. I don't know if that's good or bad, but yes, it has been. I think the fact that I know we have a chance to have some depth, even though we just have really two guys that's played a lot coming back. But with David moving to the 3 technique, Louis lining up at nose, he played some last year, and then Durant playing the end position, and then with the guys we got at stud, and knowing that 2 of our best studs aren't going through spring practice right now. So we feel like we're getting back to that depth that we had a couple of years ago.
But with Jabril, I know he's out and stuff. I mean, with the injuries last year, how limited was he last year in all that he was dealing with?
Well, I think Jabril was obviously limited a lot when you ended the season with the surgeries that he had. And you watched him, he didn't have that quick step and did not have that power late in the year that he had earlier in the year when we were getting all the sacks. You take him and Gabe out of that pass rush package like we ended up doing, or even though Jabril was in there sometimes, he wasn't as effective. It made a big difference.
And you expect by fall both those guys will be fit?
Yeah, we expect fall to be ready to roll again.
What's been like, for Gabe, obviously, he's had now 2 years here where he's either missed the whole year with an injury or missed most of it. What do you see from him? And obviously trying to make the most of it, trying to get back healthy again.
Well, I think Gabe knows the scheme already, and the fact that he can help the young guys. He's always coaching and he's always watching and learning himself. That makes it good, and he knows what his role is going to be, and if he can stay healthy, then it will obviously increase more and more. But at this point in time, we want to get him on the field and let him get after people.
Is he just snake bit or what? Because it does seem like even in a lot of games, even for a play or two, we see him come off a lot with small different stuff.
Well, once you have that injury, once that shoulder pops out, then it's easy to come out. So hopefully we got them both fixed now, and then he can line up and play the full season, and we won't have those problems.
I know we talked a lot about those guys that redshirted last year and some of the young guys that even played a little but not much. Who has kind of stood out so far for the first half?
Well, I think Louis really stood out. He played a backup role last year, obviously behind David, and he's moved up to the starting position, and he's doing real well. Right behind him, Emmanuel's doing some good things. Played a little bit last year. Emmanuel was always so big in high school that he could play high and get away with it, but we're continuing to work on his pad leverage. And then Chase played a little bit last year, and I think Chase has come a long way. So those 2 guys that played just minimum reps last year are really giving us a lot of depth. And then the rest of the guys that are redshirted, I think we're going to be able to get some stuff out of those guys too.
Who's kind of working at that DT spot behind David? Obviously
Daniel.
Okay.
And Daniel was having a good spring.
Because Chase said he's moved over to DN with
Chase
Durant.
is playing DN with Durant. Daniel's playing over there, and then behind Daniel right now we have Jabari.
Mm-hmm.
Behind at nose guard we're working Matt Locker, and then at the third defensive end Coyote.
How's Durant coming along?
I think Durant's doing well. The good thing about Durant, even though he played stud most of the time, we started him at end last year. We had to move him to stud because everyone got hurt. He has really bought into the role. Our goal is to be able to leave him there all year, and I think he is being able to play there as much as he has in the past and what we're getting out of him this spring. I see Durant improving daily.
Have these practices been pretty competitive with your group? I mean, guys waiting for their chance, trying to prove it?
I think it really has, because we have so many guys like we're talking about. Everybody knows they got to come out and compete and do their very best every day. If they don't, there's a guy right behind them trying to take that position. And they know if they can get in that rotation, especially the first two groups, then they're going to get a lot of reps, and that third group will get some reps also.
Andy's talked a lot about, kind of, installing a little bit more, of aggressive kind of mentality. That you'll always have that on defense, but he said this spring that's kind of been a real major focus. How have you noticed maybe a difference in terms of trying to do that, after some of the things that didn't go right necessarily last season for you guys?
I think it's huge, and just the fact, and it goes back, especially it all starts up front. It goes back to being able to roll those guys and be fresh. Because sometimes you lose that mentality. Obviously, when you get fatigued, sometimes that toughness goes. So I think it's made a huge difference in the fact that we're able to roll those guys. We can keep the group healthy, then we got a chance to be decent up front.
That signing day thing at Big Al's, I think you said you were a little hard-headed last year and playing some of those guys maybe a little too much. Do you feel like you're going to have the depth where if you force yourself to do it, you think you could have enough guys that can go 2-3 deep?
I really do. I think if these kids keep coming on, and you know what's amazing, we'll have them this spring, but a lot of times I see like these guys that were true freshmen this year and they go through spring, their biggest jump will be next fall in fall camp. It always seems like sometimes that's when it really clicks, and I'm excited about where this group of guys are right now. And my job is just to keep taking it one step at a time and making them better and better. And then, as we've always talked about, the more depth we got, the better we'll be.
How much of an impact is it for David being able to move to that true three technique and having
I think it's obviously it's a little different than playing the nose guard position. And if you look at David, he's not really that 300-pound nose guard. So we were able to play with him because he played such great technique and quickness last year. So I think it's huge that we can move him to 3, and that gives us more depth again at that position with good players and able to get those guys on the field that are true nose guards and make a big difference.
Is he still undersized at the 3 technique, or what do you
Well, I
want
think he's putting on some weight. Mm-hmm. Obviously we'd like to see him put on weight and keep it on. He's the only Polynesian guy I've ever seen that, that wasn't able to put on weight and keep it on. I keep trying to figure out what in the world the deal is here. But no, he's doing good. And the reason he lost so much weight last year goes back to how much he played, I think. So once we'll get more weight on him a little at a time this summer, and then we get into the fall, we should be better off.